In the ancient world, the line between man, beast and god was thin and often broken. Civilizations used hybrid creatures to embody power, mystery or fear, fusions of different species that turned into symbols, guardians or punishments. These weren't random mutations of the imagination, they reflected deeper cultural values, religious fears, and human desires to control or explain the chaos of nature and the divine. The Sphinx of ancient Egypt is one of the oldest and most iconic hybrids, a lion's body with a human head, often a pharaoh's. It symbolized strength ruled by intelligence, a powerful blend of force and wisdom. Facing the rising sun, the great Sphinx of Giza was a cosmic guardian, likely representing the sun god Ra. But its Greek counterpart took a darker turn. The Greek Sphinx, with wings and a taste for riddles, devoured anyone who failed to answer her questions. She was less a protector and more a gatekeeper of doom, showing how the same hybrid form could shift in meaning across cultures. The Mesopotamian Lamassu was a masterpiece of hybrid imagination. A protective deity, it combined the body of a bull or lion, the wings of an eagle and the face of a human. These towering carved stone figures stood at palace entrances not just to impress, but to intimidate. The animal parts represented raw power and speed, the wings divine authority, and the human face implied wisdom and control. Each Lamassu was inscribed with spells for protection, making it not just a sculpture but a magical device, a spiritual firewall guarding against evil. In Hindu mythology, Narasimha, Vishnu's man-lion avatar, was created for a specific purpose to destroy a demon who could not be killed by man or beast. Narasimha is depicted in temple art across India, with claws tearing through the chest of the demon king Hiranyakashipu. It's a brutal image, but deeply symbolic. The hybrid form wasn't decorative, it was theological, it solved a logical loophole in a myth. Narasimha was divine code-breaking, neither man nor beast acting at the border of categories where laws of life and death could be rewritten. The Griffin, born in the ancient Near East, but widely adopted by Greek and Roman cultures, blended the king of birds with the king of beasts. Eagles and lions both symbolized dominance, and the griffin represented ultimate control of earth and sky. Often found in tomb art or guarding treasures, griffins weren't just decorative, they were, in a sense, security systems encoded in myth. Their image warned that whatever lay beyond them wasn't for ordinary mortals. Unlike other hybrids, the griffin didn't have a human component. It was pure animal might doubled. The centaur is deeply human in its duality. Half man, half horse, it represented both civilized reason and wild instinct. Greek art often showed centaurs in battle, not just with others but with themselves. The centaur's upper body held weapons and wore expressions of thought, but its lower half was always on the verge of stampede. In myth, centaurs oscillated between wisdom and savagery, Chiron, the wise healer and tutor of heroes, versus the drunken mobs of other centaurs crashing weddings. The dual nature of man and beast made the centaur a moral diagram in motion. Ancient Chinese art gave rise to the qilin, a chimera-like creature sometimes described as a unicorn with dragon scales and the tail of an ox. It was a symbol of peace and divine approval, appearing only during the reign of a benevolent ruler or the birth of a sage. Unlike many other hybrids, the qilin wasn't fearsome. It walked so gently it wouldn't disturb grass or crush an insect. Sculptures and paintings of the qilin often served as a political message. All is in balance. The emperor has heaven's favor. It was a hybrid designed not to terrorize but to reassure. The Egyptian god Anubis, with a man's body and a jackal's head, was closely tied to death and mummification. Jackals roamed cemeteries, so the ancient Egyptians made that predator into a protector of graves. In funerary art, Anubis is shown overseeing embalming or leading souls through the underworld. The hybrid form wasn't just symbolic, it was practical. By associating death with the sacred jackal-headed god, the Egyptians hoped to turn a natural threat into a divine ally. Anubis made death navigable. The Chimera from Greek mythology was, well, a nightmare stitched together. A lion's head, a goat's body, a serpent's tail, and often it breathed fire. In art, it came to symbolize chaos and unnatural terror. Heroes like Bellerophon were sent to kill it, making the Chimera a test of human courage and honestly divine favor. Unlike other hybrids that symbolized balance or protection, the Chimera was deliberately unbalanced, an organism that really should not exist. That made it a perfect antagonist in art and myth, a creature whose very form violated natural law. The Minotaur was a tragedy made flesh, part man, part bull, kept in a labyrinth because, quite simply, he could not fit into society. Created from a curse, the Minotaur wasn't evil by choice, but rather a consequence of divine punishment and human pride. Greek vase paintings and sculptures often show Theseus confronting the beast, but rarely without some sense of pity. The labyrinth itself became a metaphor for the twisted path of shame, secrecy, and, well, moral reckoning. The Minotaur stood at the center of that maze, not just as a monster, but as the human cost of defiance. Finally, the Harpy, woman's head, bird's body, began as a storm spirit in ancient Greece, but was later twisted into a punishing demon. Harpies were once winds personified, but over time they became tormentors of the damned, especially in Roman and medieval art. Their beauty was corrupted, their flight turned into something vengeful. In that shift, we see how hybrid creatures could evolve across eras, not just in form, but in meaning. The Harpy began as a force of nature and ended as a moral weapon. These ancient hybrids weren't just artistic experiments. They were, in a way, coded messages, warnings, and hopes. They challenged categories, blurred lines, and demanded interpretation. And thousands of years later, they still speak, not just about monsters, but about us.